Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for My Hero Academia Season 3, Episode 17. And just to get right into it, we basically started with Coach Todoroki taking out the Power Ranger ninjas. I know they're... I know that those guys have a name in a school they're associated with, but I'm sorry, they're just pretty much the Power Ranger ninjas to me. And I'm not gonna lie, in the way that kind of fight played out, I would have liked the fight to go on a little bit longer, only because it did seem that they were pretty much giving that those guys were giving Todoroki a legitimate trouble, just in the way that they were dousing his that they were breaking his ice and dousing his fire, but in a way, I guess it still made sense when you pretty much consider who pretty much Todoroki is as a character, and I do like the way in which he took them. I like how the way he took them out did kind of play off what was being teased, foreshadowed in the training camp arc about him utilizing both his ice and fire sides. Like he in order to defeat them, he used both his ice and fire sides pretty much almost at the exact same time in this episode, which still kind of which still and which of course it was very effective the way he did it, but but at the same time there was also this kind of there was also this pretty much there was also it's one of those things where even though it is a powerful technique, it wasn't a surefire thing either. Like he even mentioned, Todoroki even mentioned himself that he still doesn't have a whole lot of control over that technique. So it's one of those things where it's where he can use it, but he has a limit to how much he can use it, and he needs to learn to control it more. So I do like how it's one of those where even though he succeeded, it did cost him a little something, and of course after he basically passed, he pretty much met eyes with it was basically a NASA pretty much Shiketsu High. And the one thing that was kind of interesting about this, one thing that was kind of interesting that like we basically seen scenes already of this kind of growing of this hatred that Inasa seems to have for Todoroki, but and of course and then we have this other guy who has basically has a bit of a hatred for pretty much Bakugo in the episode. Like at the end, we basically see this guy who can turn people to mush. He has a hatred for Bakugo, and or trap them in like goop or something like that. But what is interesting about those two scenes, about the scene of Inasa glaring at Todoroki and this guy wearing a mask who also goes to Shiketsu as a beef to have with Bakugo, is that it's one of those things where even though Shiketsu and UA, it's very much a hidden hatred, I guess you could say, like a very deep seated hatred, I guess you could say, like even though Shiketsu and UA as schools have this respect for each other, the students on the other hand are a little different. Like like I said, there seems to be this thing where even though the schools have respect for each other, the students themselves, there are certain students who definitely have a bone to pick with. There are definitely certain students at Shiketsu who have bones to pick with students at UA. Nasa has a bone to pick with Todoroki, and this new guy has a bone to pick with Bakugo for obvious reasons that we've seen time and time again, of course. But of course, if this guy knew Bakugo, got to know Bakugo a little better, I think he might change a bit of his tune. I'm just saying. But I definitely like how it is kind of showing that even though the schools have respect for each other, the students have a little bit more of a bone to pick with each other for sure. And okay, so I'm gonna just tell you guys straight up. This pretty much episode, it was a good majority of it. It was an anime only episode. Like the only major parts that were actually that are actually canon were pretty much at least the first like at least 8 minutes, I think, in the beginning. And then the ending is basically the only stuff that was canon. But all the stuff in the middle, it was basically anime-only content. And with that being said, we get introduced to an anime-only school and a character who's pretty much who we get introduced to a school. And I guess the main villain of this episode. It was from her name is in psycho in Kelly, and it was the girl with the monocle and her classmates. Like it was pretty much we got introduced to an anime only school basically in this episode, in which I'm not gonna lie, it's one of those times where she very much the only reason the only reason that these pretty much characters existed in this episode was to pretty much just serve as a plot device in order to give Momo and her group that extra bit of screen time that the manga didn't give them. And don't get me wrong, I love that the anime took the time to do that, but I just wish the antagonists that the Momo and her group were facing were a little more interesting, because this new character was pretty much just your generic intellectual baddie. Like that. I mean, I definitely know I know she kind of had a bit of a. I know she had a bit of a saving grace in the. I know she kind of had a bit of her like moment of I give up. I respect your power and whatnot. I respect your teamwork. I respect your power and whatnot. But at the same time, like the character herself was just not interesting whatsoever. She was pretty much just your ha 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 twirly kind of mustache, or in this case monocle adjusting bad guy, just cartoon bad guy you'd see on every Saturday morning cartoon. So yeah. Although, like I said, on the flip side, even if this character was just a plot device, she pretty much did. She still ended up giving the character. She still ended up giving the members of Class 1A who were featured in this episode a lot more screen time. A lot of the basically pretty much Momo and her group that basically Momo and her group who were being showcased in this episode were pretty much sidelined in the manga. Which, if I'm being honest, this expansion of events is one thing I think that the anime is doing better than the manga, because episodes like this not only gives more context on how the other members of Class 1A work together in order to pass the exam, but it also gives more development to pretty much those characters that Horikoshi had to kind of push to the side for later. And while I don't think I don't think the villains were very compelling, definitely the traps they set were definitely effective enough to showcase how well Momo can strategize her way out of a situation that is meant to render her quirk like powerless or useless, and how well she can adapt and work out the people off others when she's in a situation like that. Like I just really like how it focused on how well pretty much Momo as a character can be a leader and just lead people and just lead people out of a tough situation. It's really kind of I really like the development that we got in this episode for sure. And Aizawa couldn't have said it better at the end of the episode. Like Izuku, like the way he was praising Izuku and Bakugo, like Izuku and Bakugo are the glue and inspiration that motivate everyone in Class 1A to go beyond their limits. And the thing is that it's not their quirks that make them so inspirational and basically causes everyone to in order to follow their example, but it's who they are as people. It's not about their quirks. It's about who they are as people. It's basically their character, their sense of justice, their sense of heroism. It's those things that make people that have everyone else's attention and say, I want to be a hero like that. So it's really it's an interesting play on the whole. It's not the powers or abilities that makes someone a hero. It's their character. And yeah, I was really getting behind what we basically that whole inspirational speech. It was just it was just incredible. And but like I said, like I said, not in terms of the situation we have now with Bakugo, he's basically up against that Shiketsu high student, and I don't know if his power is that he can turn people to mush, or if that he, or if that he, or if that he just traps people in goop. I think it's the latter, because he was just firing that shit at people. So yeah, I think he traps people in it, and yeah, it's kind of weird power to have for sure, but hey, it's effective, I guess. So like I can't fault the guy. And yeah, it'll be. I'm interested to. I'm gonna be interested to see how exactly. I'm gonna be interested to see exactly how Bakugo is going to going to work together with basically everyone, with the people he's teamed up with in order to defeat this villain. Because obviously Bakugo isn't the most cooperative person, but it should be interesting how he works together with the people who are with him in this episode for sure. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. That's not a anime. Signing off. Later, guys.